Cambridge IGCSE English as a First Language 0500. So let's discuss first a reading insert. This reading insert I am sharing with you is from May-June 2024 recently conducted paper by Cambridge. So along with your question paper, you will be given this reading insert for your reading paper. The reading insert will be there for you to help you in your paper one, that is reading. And as you know, the reading paper is for 80 marks. In the next video, I will also upload the question paper. But before looking at the question paper, let's read first reading insert. So in this reading insert, there are three texts: text A, text B, and text C. So reading text A, you will have to read to answer questions 1 and its component A, B, C, D, and E on the question paper. So text A, unusual modes of travel. Traveling the world can be thrilling. Search online and you will find lots more interesting ways to get around than cars, buses, or planes. From trains made of bamboo to wicker toboggans or even sleds pulled by trained dogs, these unusual types of transport offer an unforgettable experience. Here are some more you might not have heard about. Coco Taxi, Havana, Cuba. These tricycles, worked by pedal power, have a back seat for two people behind the driver. Some have a tiny motor that helps the driver when going up a slope. These cute yellow taxis shaped like hollow coconuts can be seen in Havana and in Varadero. Though prone to accidents, they are faster at negotiating traffic than regular taxis. The black taxis are used for locals, while the yellow ones are used by tourists. Mount Tobacan, Madeira Protocol. This is another unusual mode of traveling. Originally a fast means of transport down to Funchal for people living in Mont, these toboggan sleds appeared around 1850. Still in use by locals today, they attract thousands of tourists every year who want to enjoy this exciting ride, sliding at high speed on narrow, winding streets down to Funchal. These two-seater wicker sledges glide on wooden runners and are pushed and steered by men dressed in white cotton cloths and straw hats. According to custom, using their rubber-soled boots as brakes. The downhill journey lasts about 10 minutes on a total course of 2 kilometers, reaching speeds of 48 kilometers per hour. Simple yet effective, it's the perfect contrast to the high technology cable car going slowly up to Mont. Then DUKW, London, UK. These amphibious trucks known as DUKW, pronounced duck. So duck, though originally designed as military vehicles to run over both land and water, now offer friendlier rides past famous London landmarks before launching into the river Thames to get views from the water. Remember, it's not only the place that attracts tourists, but also the unusual modes of transport found there, usually just as safe as often more reliable than regular options. Though, though do your research beforehand. Prices can vary, and so we recommend you agree on one before beginning any journey, booking your tickets or driver in advance wherever possible to avoid long queues or disappointment. So then, as we missed the F component of question 1, so you will have to read text B and then answer question 1F on the question paper. Text B, the Hyperloop high-speed transport system. This online article written in 2021 gives the writer's opinion of a proposed new transportation system. I presume you will have heard of the Hyperloop concept, a supposedly less polluting transport service carrying passengers inside giant low-pressure tubes in convoys of small pods at insane speeds. The train, powered along by magnets, floats on an air cushion. No? Well, don't worry. You can forget it. It's never going to happen. Having read all the publicly available documents promoting its cost effectiveness to run, it's quite clear that there is a huge gap between the exciting theory of this futuristic transportation and it actually existing. Too many unknowns need to be discovered gradually, at great expense, before the technology can be applied to the design of a reliable transportation mode. The science behind Hyperloop appears sound enough, but we know that in reality things can go wrong. Multiple things could go wrong with Hyperloops below or even way above ground since they can climb and simply go straight over obstacles apparently. A big question in the air cushion whose flow could be stopped by any sort of disturbance external to the tube. For example, oil pipelines fail and it sure isn't the oil inside that's breaking them. Another enormous fault with the concept is that nobody nowadays needs to save 1 hour to get from one city to another. Mobile Wi Fi means there is no such thing as unproductive time anymore. This has clearly escaped hyperloopers, dazzled by the elegant design. That is not to say that suction tube transport cannot work, but rather that we don't know enough to agree that it will work reliably and effectively. Traveling in a tube might also not be the comfortable experience imagined due to nausea inducing acceleration. Hyperloop companies won't be the first to try transporting people in a sealed tube. They point out reassuring. In 1867, the inventor Alfred Ely Beach wanted to build an underground train system that relied on pneumatic tubes, but Beach abandoned this passenger system, instead focusing on the easier task of moving mail. More sensible investors in Hyperloop projects argue its potential as a cargo transportation system between countries, perhaps beneath water. Think about it. If a boat full of cereals ever broke, would it even make the news? Here is now the last reading text C that you will have to read to answer question 2 from A to D component and also question 3 on the question paper. So the question 3 that will be like writing a continuous talk, extended answer reading from reading. You will be using it for that and short components of question 2 from A to D from. And what was this about? Only the F part of question 1 for text B. And now text C will work for you for both question 2 and 3. Text C, riding the rails, learning how to drive a dog sled. In this article, journalist Lynn Marshall looks back at her adventure holiday in Alaska. As the sky gradually turned indigo in the fading light, the scraping of ice and frantic, unheeded commands to my sled dog team broke the stillness, thundering down the frozen waterway. I snatched anxious glimpses over my shoulder. Where was Mike, my guide? Would his stacker still pick up my signal with the gap between us increasing by the minute? Out exploring that Friday evening, an irresistible scent had wafted by my lead dog's keen nose, following primal instincts over my feeble instructions. He had wheeled around, leading his obliging pack in the opposite direction at full speed. Applying all my weight to the brake saved me fishtailing, fishtailing, fishtailing wildly from side to side, but did nothing to show the dog's enthusiastic charge. From my evening chats with Mike over the last few days, I knew that if we lost each other entirely, I was in trouble. I had nothing, no extra clothing, no shelter, but more importantly, nothing to start a fire. We had seen wolf tracks regularly, so fire seems particularly important to me at the moment. It was March, the tail end of the long, cold winter. Roads were closed, rivers were frozen, and access into the region was limited. Still spellbound from gazing at the enormity of the Alaskan wilderness, I had stepped down from the mail plane into the miniature perfection of Eagle, a fascinating history-packed hamlet of timber dwellings, home to just 85 residents. I was immediately wrapped in the customary beer hug by Mike's wife, Scarlett, and, and cocooned in layers of Arctic-grade outerwear. Mike and Scarlett lived sustainably hunting, fishing, and gathering consciously, leaving a minimal carbon footprint. They have enjoyed many years of wilderness expeditions using traditional dog sleds and now provide opportunities for adventurous souls to experience their eco lifestyle firsthand. Driving a dog sled is harder than it looks, As Mike's passenger, I realized it involved constant corrective maneuvers, anticipating the dog team's next move. They only ever do what they want to, and possible camber tilt in the trail. In theory lessons, Mike's diagrams emphasize that the ice highway can be anything from porcelain, porcelain smooth to oversized ice cubes. Slam into one of those and you would need your emergency messaging device. But winding through spruce forest, tracing soft snow-covered lines in a precious delight. Crisscrossing a small lake's glassy surface, I looked down to see exquisite designs, crystal bubbles of all shapes and sizes, suspended in time, cascading into the dark depths. There were, of course, many thrills and spills. Losing control on one adrenaline charged downhill run, I tipped sideways onto the snow. My happy, yappy team continued on, their inept operator hanging on single handedly, thankful for the padded trousers provided. Each evening we settled in at a different location, often an old miner's cabin where our teams were secured and cared for. The teams are your lifeline, your escape route, so their health and well being are paramount. Only after this did we collect snow for our water and cut firewood. The most memorable night, using only nature's materials, we shoveled and hacked, creating a shelter against the sub-zero temperature. A reflective wall of logs threw the pit fire's heat under our makeshift roof as Mike spoke with passion about life out here. The joy of relative freedom and the aurora borealis in the night skies that were nature's artwork, a ceiling of stars on dark nights, or flooded with rippling emerald green curtains, as I borrowed down for the night, fire crackling in the stillness, the howling of wolves drifted to us. It was a moment of complete and utter contentment. Exactly how far I traveled through the twilight with my errant team, I will never know. Our detour, did not have a dramatic end in the fangs of a wolf pack. Only when fatigued did the team slow, gliding to a halt, with Mike rounding the bend some time later to locate me. So this was text C. Hopefully you will have gotten an idea. And now in the next video, let's move to my June English as First Language 2024 paper, question paper I mean.